Daith da, Ewi Nagan. Welcome to podcast number 43. Well, it's been a tough week this week. We do get quite a few tough weeks, which can be if we're busy or kind of emotional funerals or just the everyday running a business with increasing red tape. And I think this week we've had all three. I know all funerals are sad, but I think it is fair to say that some are a lot sadder than others. For example, we had a funeral this week of a lovely chap from Wadebridge who was 100. And so it was a celebration of a life, although it was sad that he passed away. And then, of course, you have others that, people haven't obviously lived that long. And I always remember Father said that the day you stop feeling the emotions is the day you should stop funeral directing, because you won't be doing your job right. So, I always keep that with me. And, well, since I spoke to you last time, we've been here, there and everywhere as usual, as well as obviously the crematorium's been St. Breock, St. Mary's Catholic Church in Bodmin, which was interesting because there's major roadworks at the minute. So the road going under Bodmin Hospital is all blocked off for a month or so. They're redoing the road, I think. So everybody's having to go up to Silem Clock to turn right if they're going St. Austell or anywhere like that. And of course, we parked there just along the road. We did try to get off the road as much as we could, but especially like rush hour time and that, 'tis chaos at the minute, absolute chaos. And we've had another service obviously in our chapel, and also with Rock Methodist Chapel today. First time we've been there for a little while, and it was lovely to see my old headmaster there, John Godwin, playing the organ. Oh, and before I forget, what a fantastic response for dear Hazel Mitchell last week. We had as you might have heard, if you can always go back on the podcasts and, hear all the old ones kind of thing. And, fantastic comments with Hazel, and I'm hoping we'll meet up again sometime. It was brilliant hearing her memories. And one of my old mates, Morgan Skinner, he did actually send me a message, and I think I'll do it now before I forget. Otherwise, I'll kick myself directly because I would have forgot all about it. But I think my Cornish dialect word last week was the one that Hazel used when she said her sister was scritching her eyes out, or she was scritching. And Morgan sent me a message, and it's a slight variation on that. So I thought I would say that one while it's still in my mind. And Morgan said that his mother used to say, "You'm scritching like a whitneck," which apparently a whitneck is a weasel. And it made a kind of a screeching noise. So that's what Mrs. Skinner used to say. "You'm scritching like a whitneck." So that's me Cornish dialect for this week. I know it is early. I know I usually do it at the end, but I thought I'd do it while I remembered. So the other thing I was talking about was, just the whole thing of running a business, really, and the red tape involved. And over the last, few years, 2 to 3 years perhaps, there's been a lot of regulations come in the funeral profession, and also with funeral plans as well, which, to be honest, I think on the whole, it is definitely an improvement. Because up until now, or then, kind of thing, last few years, anyone, if they get a premises, they could open up as a funeral director without any training or anything. And, these new regulations have come in, and I say on the whole, I think it was needed. But it does cause a lot more work and studying as well, because when I look back, I started with Father in 83, and then studied, and then I took my diploma in funeral directing in 1987, and it was a fantastic year that year, actually, because you don't really usually get many from Cornwall at the same time studying for a diploma, but I think there was about 10 of us then. It was a hang of a crowd. And, we were studying for quite a few weeks, and then we actually, normally you'd have to go up country to, up in England to do a 3-hour exam, and then oral exam where you were someone would come in and you would have to arrange a funeral, and it could be any sort of religion or anything. But we went to Plymouth, and I tell you what, that year we swept the boards. It was fantastic. Because it was nationwide, and out of the top 4, 3 of us was from Cornwall. One maid, she was first. I forget who was second, and then I was fourth. But yeah, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And of course, from then on, you're always learning every day, because everything's changing. But you kind of think, well, as far as the studying goes, that's pretty much it now. I did join the British Institute of Funeral Directors as well, and I'm still a member of that. But yeah, it is a bit of a shock to a system when you having to start studying and that again. But with the funeral side, as I say, we've always had inspections of our premises and everything, and that will continue. But it's getting a lot stricter on that side. And then also with the funeral plans, they've brought regulations in on that as well, which is good, and again, which is needed. And I think I might have touched on this a couple of weeks ago. Anyone now, any funeral plan company or anyone that provides plans on their behalf, they've all got to be now authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. So we have to provide all information, send in our accounts every year and answer questionnaires. They look into us, criminal background, everything like that. And then, once that's okay, like I say, we have these statutory hours that we have to do every year. And I say it is definitely a good thing. I mean, we could not have to go through it in a way, because if we wanted to, we could just introduce funeral plans. So if somebody came in to see us, we could say, yeah, ring this number and they'll look after you. But while we can, I still like to kind of deal with it personally, really, on a local level. But I know that with both sides of the regulations, it has altered the funeral directors a little bit, I would say, over the country. I've got a few friends, up and down the country that I know that have either thought that the paperwork, they perhaps got bigger companies than me, and it's more involved, and they felt, well, this is their time now to either sell up to a bigger national company or some retired sort of thing. So it's definitely altered the way that the profession is looking, but we'll keep plodding on, and I'm sure all will be well. So there we go. One thing actually I nearly forgot, and how I could forget it, I don't know, was one of our funerals today. And we used yet again a different type of hearse to what we've used before. And this was a classic Foden lorry. And I think it was built back in 1956. And, well, its working life, I know at one stage, I think it was being used on shift work. It was being used nearly 24 hours a day. And I think they said that it's done 1.2 million miles since 1956. But yeah, we had that one. We've never had it before. I did put a photo this evening. This is Thursday now, I'm recording this. I did put a photo on our RJ Bray Facebook page. So if you go on there and have a look, it's a fantastic machine. And we were so lucky because the weather at the minute has been horrible, really. As you all know, in Europe, they're sweltering in the heat. And here we're stuck under this jet stream that we just, raining nearly all the time. But we was lucky this afternoon. It was dry and we had a nice long journey with the lorry, and it all was fantastic. So I was just about to say, apart from that, I think my week has been pretty much uneventful. But then I did remember Sunday evening, and it was about 10 o'clock, and I was driving my little car along Egglesell Road, and I noticed these lovely blue flashing lights behind me. So I pulled in there by the cemetery and had a lovely little chat with this policeman that, to be honest, I innocently, accidentally, I think you might say, or unwittingly, maybe a little bit on purpose, might have slightly altered the spacing on the letters of me number plate a little bit, but I thought nobody would notice that, but he did. So he did point out that I shouldn't really have done that, and we had a lovely little chat, and it's now being altered tomorrow. I've got it, getting it sorted now. But I've had 7.5 years of going round. I'm gutted, really, because I thought it looked absolutely brilliant. Thought it looked class, but gutted about it. But there we are. And then when he walked away, he's getting in his car. Mabon leaned forward. She was in the back seat, and she said, "Doesn't he realise who you are?" Which did make me chuckle. But I've only ever had one other brush with the law. I think that's what they say. And that was again with me car. And I don't think I've talked about this before on previous podcasts, but I think I was 18. I was working with Father then. And I had a Mark 1 Escort. I know I've mentioned that before. Lovely blue one. FAF 334L was the number plate. Got it off Brian and Vera Bear up round the corner from me. And of course, back then, musical horns was popular. Like you had Dukes of Hazzard, they had a musical horn and everything. So my Uncle Ken, he lived down the road from us. He put in a musical horn for me, which was fantastic. And mine was John Brown's Body. And that's nothing to do with the window cleaner that was around. But the tune, I expect you remember it. Dee 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 dee. That one there. So, of course, I would come home from work every evening, and I'd just come round the corner of Glen Road, and I'd usually give it a little belt, play the tune. Fantastic. Mother would know I'm on the way home. Anyway, this one, summer's tea time, I come round the corner, I did it, and my heart sunk. Now, just up halfway up the road before our house, on the right-hand side, was Molser Supplies. They used to supply alcohol, wholesalers they were. And just coming out of there were two policemen with their jam sandwich parked outside, traffic car. So I thought, oh no. So anyway, I innocently drove up and parked outside the house, and I opened the door and I heard their voice behind me. So I thought, oh, here goes. So anyway, they was just starting to tell me that perhaps I didn't use my horn for the purpose that it should be used, and I wasn't to do it again. And then the front door opened, a mother appeared. And of course, the reason for this was that these two policemen was giving me a little talking to, and I think mother was worried what the neighbours would think. So she said to the police, "Oh, can you come inside and talk to my son about this?" And of course, they said no. And then mother let them have it. She let rip. And I was thinking, Mother, just shut up. Shut up. Don't say no more. You're going to make it worse. But she started on him. "Why don't you leave my little boy alone? Better fit you was out catching criminals." So I think, please be quiet, Mother. Anyway, she did calm down, and they just finished off giving me a reprimand. And then I remember I had to go up. They asked me to take me documents up to Weybridge Police Station within the following 5 days or something, and everything would be fine. I can't remember who was on the station up there at the time. Might have been Tony Wills. I can't remember, but all was well anyway. But so that did bring back memories of that this week, I tell you. So there we are. So I think for me, Cornish word of the week, to tie in with that, I'll do police. And that's Creslew. Creslew, that's the Cornish word for police. So I think that's about it for this week. A little bit shorter, but next week I'm open. I think I got another interview lined up. with another local person here from Wadebridge. So a bit quieter at work next week, so I'm hoping to slip that in. And this Saturday, 'tis Sod's Law, we've had 2 party invitations clash. Well, I'd already said yes to one. We might try and get back to the second one if we can. We try our best. But the first one will be class. I won't go no more into detail now, but it's going to be a unique party. I've never been to one like it before. So all things being well, I will talk about that next week, as well as doing another interview. But I wish you all a good week, and I'll speak to you next week. So wish you well. Do Guinness. Kerno Bisvican.